You're listening to the International Community Radio Network.
Hi, this is Detlev, Wake News Radio, Wake News TV. We are in the UNITEDWESTRIKE Radio Marathon, July 13th. And I'm producing out of Switzerland, and I just had a couple of hours in German discussing inhumane society. And we had several examples of things happening which are really, terrible, as we all know. And this is all due because we have, we are living in a system which is trying to control us and bring us into a new world order, which is tyranny pure, and this is all bankster directed and controlled. And the group which is putting tyranny upon us is called, from my point of view, a dominant insane minority, because it's only a few who are controlling us, and therefore we are the masses and we are the many, and we should be able to overcome this and try to bring back humanity into life, in our daily lives. And as we always say in our UNITEDWESTRIKE radio marathons and in our initiative, we want to educate people and try to wake them up as far as we can. And we always say, as a solution, don't buy from globalists and big corporations and banks and so forth. And then don't comply, so don't always follow the so-called rules by the US administration or any administration in the world, and ask why. Ask why. Why are regulations in place? Why are laws set the way they are? I mean, we are all human, and we should have the opportunity to live like humans. And humans also are creators, so we can create. And this is not really clear to everybody. They seem to just follow the rules. We need to do something about the situation. And we, all who are listening, that's clear to them. And now we try to figure out the best way and to try to inform everybody around the world about what goes on in the respective corner of the world. And as we are broadcasting here out of Europe, and I shall be producing for a few hours, we will be having a few guests here from Europe as well. And it's not only Switzerland, obviously, but we have guests here from Belgium. And she would like to give us a quick overview about what is happening in her part of the world and in her respective fields of interest. And this is Melanie Vritschan from Brussels, and she's a member of the ICAACT, the ICER Act, and the UCASH, and she has been on our show already in the UNITEDWESTRIKE Radio Marathon with a very important information, and we should like to know what happened in the meantime. And Melanie, are you there?
Yes, hello, Detlev. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine. I mean, we always have a little technical issues here on our radio marathons because, there's too much listening to our broadcasting, not only from our direct listeners, but also from NSA and all the other secret services, as we all know, as we have all learned.
Yes,
So,
part of harassment.
Absolutely, and this is also subject of your organizations and your interests. And we would like to learn about your recent findings. Is there anything in terms of news which you would like to report to us?
Yes, maybe first of all I should explain what the two organizations that you just mentioned do. So the International Center Against Covered Technologies and the newly founded not-for-profit organization European Coalition Against Covered Harassment. Both of these organizations are in fact committed to raising awareness and also to collect evidence to the fact that citizens are non-consensually experimented on, which means they have been implanted with, we have enough evidence now that they have been implanted to say that they have been implanted with remote influencing technologies. And our ultimate goal is to actually influence the decision-making process in the EU to create appropriate EU legislation to protect citizens from these kinds of abuses. And so to explain a little bit more to our listeners what it is what we do and how we could prove that these terrible crimes are indeed happening, is that together with our partner organization ISACT, of which I'm also a member, we do radio frequency scannings of people that think that this could be happening to them. So we have a three-phase testing method. Which is first to conduct preliminary scans of people. That's free testing, basically, of the public that we do from time to time, where people that think that they could be victimized by this technology can come to us, and we scan. We do a full body scan for radio frequency emissions. Then we ask people in the second phase to where these, if they came up positive on the specific anatomical focus points where they came up positive, to provide us with medical imagery to back the findings up, potentially, which is in the form of an MRI scan, a CT scan, or digital panoramic X-ray, to see if at that focal point, anatomical focal point, we see what we call an unidentified bright object, which is basically an implant. And then the third phase is that we conduct the scan again in a controlled environment, which is basically a Faraday cage. Now we have
Melanie, let me quickly interrupt here. We have a very bad connection, so I might have to call you back.
Right.
And get you back into the conversation. Would you please stand by, and we'll see how maybe we can improve the sound here.
No problem.
I'll call you back, and okay.
Okay, no problem.
So let's see. Yeah, we have a bad connection here to Melanie, and I'll try to bring her in again. Let's see whether it works. Yeah, we experience this, unfortunately, once in a while, and so let's see how it works. Okay. And maybe we can improve the connection here.
Hello?
So Melanie?
Yeah?
Yeah. So, well, let's try again, or let's continue now. Let's see whether it's a little better.
Okay. So, yeah. So I was just explaining the three-phase testing that ISACT has developed, and I was just saying that we had conducted these radio frequency scans recently in Belgium in a certified Faraday cage, controlled environment. And this is what I wanted to explain. The findings, I think are quite remarkable. That means that all the people that we had scanned previously in a preliminary scanning that came up positive, we re-scanned them in the Faraday cage, and they came up positive in the Faraday cage as well. And we also, to substantiate the findings, we also had a control group, which were people that we randomly selected that had no signs or symptoms of being a victim of electronic terrorism. And these people were negative. We could not measure anything, and the frequency reader basically showed 0. So that is quite remarkable. And I think good news in our in our search for evidence and in this fact-finding process that we have started. What I would like to point out, because it's something that I'm personally very concerned about, also as a mother of a small child, is that within the group of victims we had, that we have scanned, there have been several small children that came up positive. So that is an indication that that the child was emitting radio frequencies. So that's a forensic indication for us that this child was being subjected to covert electronic harassment and torture. So I think that is very, very concerning, because and there were several children that we scanned that came up positive, and that gives also in Germany, by the way, Detlev, so and in other countries, but that gives us an indication that children are clearly at risk.
Yeah, I mean, this is so cruel, and this is so incredible to learn that they are actually harassing small children. And we also had this discussion in the first couple of hours in German, that there's lots of things going on in order to harass and torture children, which is incredible. I mean, we talked about this 5-year-old Palestinian boy who was captured by Israeli military forces and arrested. I mean, a 5-year-old boy arrested, for maybe possibly throwing a stone. I mean, this is against any international law and human rights and what have you. And exactly what you are saying is that your children are being harassed electronically. This is so cruel, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, harassed is a mild word, I think, to describe what victims of electronic terrorism go through. It is torture. There's no other word for it, because many of the victims that have been non-consensually implanted are then experienced, because it's in our evidence finding process. We have proof that it seems to be much more weaponry research, illegal weaponry research, than illegal biomedical research, although this is a part of it as well. So what happens very much is that once the person is implanted, although they do not need an implant to do this, but then the victims are usually hit with directed energy weapons or psychotronic weapons. There are several denominations for this, and I can tell you, it is really torture. It is basically hitting the target with shockwaves. And the very, very concerning thing is that these kind of illegal experimentation is not new. Electronic implants are already existed in the 50s, but what has it has been exponentially grown, and the cases that we have, and what has changed, in comparison with the past, is that they used to experiment on particularly vulnerable groups, which now children are very vulnerable members of our society. I acknowledge that, but what they used to experiment on people that were either psychiatric patients or the elderly, or people that were somehow socially marginalized already, or did not have the possibility to defend themselves. But now it's really anybody. It is really the general population that is targeted.
Yeah, I mean, it's well known that they are experimenting on their own military forces or police forces, and this is something which we also are, asking ourselves. I reported on a police a troop of policemen here in the Federal Republic of Germany who were storming a house and trying to capture someone who was owing 10 euros to the state, 10 euros, which is something like 10 US dollars, and violating his basic rights and human rights completely.
Absolutely.
And and we were wondering whether those guys actually are mind controlled, whether they may have a chip implanted, which by pushing the button, basically let them explode like that and act like wild animals. I mean, isn't that some sort of a hint as well? What do you think?
I agree with you, Detlev, and concerning that, I had heard, because the lawyer and also the judge on the International War Crimes Tribunal, Dr. Alfred Lambert-Weber, recently interviewed us, in fact, and I heard him saying in one of his interviews, and I found that very interesting, that actually these, because many people that report these crimes to the police, what everybody's told to do and what you should do actually when you're a victim of the crime, then experience this phenomena of what we call organized stalking, which means that there are groups of people harassing them, and also illegal intrusions into their homes, and so this is a phenomenon that is well known, and but seems to happen more frequently once these people, the victims of these technologies, reported crime actually. And why I was saying this is that these, according to Dr. Weber, is that he had said in an interview that in fact all these, basically, I don't know how you call these hordes of people that then harass the targets or the victims are kind of, as you say, there is quite some evidence to suggest that they themselves are under mind control. And what happened, I think, in one city or in one case, that there must have been some problem with the interruption with the technology or the frequency that controlling them, and suddenly all these basically hordes seemed to be totally destabilized and didn't know what to do anymore. So it was almost as if they was under some kind of program to harass citizens, and once there was the technology was kind of disconnected or disrupted, all these people were totally destabilized themselves and did not follow this so-called program, even that was they seem to be under, and I thought it was very interesting,
Yeah, so it leaves them disoriented if suddenly the program is being stopped, sort of, or frequency is stopped, and they don't even know what's coming up. Yeah, that's also my finding occasionally, and one of the very dangerous things are basically using the Matrix television programs, because they are meant to program you as well, or control your mind as well. And I also read about an advertising agency who was introducing a frequency which brings the windows, the glass of windows of public transport, buses or trains or whatever, into a frequency, and people who are putting their head against or lean their head against the window basically get a message, an advertising message through that, so they could also influence the sleeping people in the public transport. What do you think about that? Isn't that strange?
Yeah, I'm not too surprised, because what I can say is definitely that one of the symptoms that victims of non-consensual implantation of remote influencing technologies experience is a heavy disruption of their sleeping patterns and sleep deprivation also. That is the complaints the most one of the the most frequent complaints that we do hear. And as I said before, is that nowadays they do not need to implant you anymore to be able to influence your behavior or your biorhythm or. So I'm not too surprised about that. I haven't personally heard it, but it seems very, very, possible to me, very plausible.
Yeah, that's through the Scala technology.
Scalar wave technology. So and actually, what last time I was on the show with my colleague Dr. Henning Witte, who could tell you more about scalar waves. But this is one of the hidden technologies by Nikola Tesla, basically everything functions with scalar waves. So and they can go right through. As I think he was here last time, and he explained that actually somebody could beam you sitting in China and you're somewhere in Europe. They go right through the Earth. There's no protection from this kind of scalar wave radiation.
Yeah, and that's very, very alarming, actually. I mean, you can use this technology positively, and but also, unfortunately, negatively. Yeah, and that's what we are alarmed of. Well, we are almost through with our part here. We are entering now the open round table in English after a quick break. Mm-hmm. And I will try to get all the others in here. And if you still have got a little time, Melanie, I would appreciate if you stay on. Okay. For our discussion, and I can also urge everybody to listen to our last show, which is also in available on our website and as an archive, and we also have a video available. But this one was, I guess, it was in German, right? Which we had. Oh, but anyways, well, there are lots of German-speaking people listening, and so if you are interested in learning more about this technology, I mean, how can people reach you, Melanie?
Yes, people can reach us. UCatch, so it's on our website. It's eucach.org, and there's also an email, so people can email us, if people ISAACT, especially people that strongly believe that this could be happening to them, that they could be victimized by this technology, they can contact us via the ISAACT website. There's if you're in Europe, there's EU@isaac.org, and if you're in the US, it's US@isaac.org, and there are also contact forms on the ISAACT website. So that's how people can get in touch.
Yeah, thank you, Melanie, for your quick update here and keeping us à jour, if you want to, because à jour is French, isn't it? Français. Yeah. And you speak French yourself, don't you?
Yes. I live in Brussels, so I better do.
So bonjour et au revoir and things like that, right?
Exactly. But it's not au revoir yet because I'm staying on.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's just, to let our French-speaking audience know that we also speak French. Okay, so we are in the UNITEDWESTRIKE Radio Marathon here on July 13th, and we will go on a quick break and listen to Commandos by Greg Diablo. And in the meantime, I'll try to get our colleagues in here in order to continue our radio marathon with our European roundtable discussion. So stay tuned. This is Detlev Awakenings Radio. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the International Community Radio Network.
Play 9/11 on oldest land. North Korea, Iraq, Iran, commandos involved again.
Yeah, hello, this is Detlev, Wake News Radio, Wakeness TV. I'm producing here out of Switzerland our UNITEDWESTRIKE Radio Marathon of July 13th, 2013. And we are now in our English-speaking part of today's marathon, and we will have great guests and great hosts coming along today, and we will be broadcasting until the early morning hours from our European timetable. Obviously, as we are going around the world, we are making use of the different time zones, and for our American friends, for example, we are already, or we are still pretty early in the morning for them. But they are tuning in as well, and for having their coffee in the morning and listening to our UNITEDWESTRIKE Radio Marathon. Okay, and we started to bring in our European roundtable discussion, and I just learned that somebody who was planned to take part, which is Neil, isn't available because he had an urgent call to make somewhere else. So we can't get him here. But I asked Melanie to stay in and try to get her back into our conversation, and then we can actually continue a little bit to talk about it, what we just had in discussion, and the electronic harassment. So Melanie, I have you back here.
Yep.
I think the connection is also better now in the meantime. All right, so we actually had started already in the last 30 minutes to discuss what you and your organizations, where you're a member in the ICACT and UCASH organizations, who are basically interested in giving information about electronic harassment, electronic torture, and who have lots of members and who are really very active in also trying to give information to the public. Now, you gave us an update, but people may be interested also in getting more information. And what do you do in terms of information to the public? I know that there are several international meetings also taking place. And you talked to me about a meeting which is taking place in Great Britain. Is that correct? Or
yes, that is true. There is a meeting on the 3rd of August in Great Britain, in a place that is called St. Anne, a lovely seaside town, and near Liverpool. That will take place on the 3rd of August, and what we do there is, in fact, we do with ICACT, what I've just explained, free radio frequency scans. So people that think that they could have been non-consensually implanted with remote implanting technologies can come to us at this meeting, and we will scan them free of charge for radio frequency emissions. And this is what I said before, the phase first of our scanning protocol, of our method to actually forensically prove this. And it doesn't cost anything. And I can maybe put in the chat here the website to the event.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
please.
And we're currently organizing that. There will probably also be a few presentations there, but the focus will be on the scans. So I will just see if I can find the website, and I will post it in the chat. Yeah. Second.
Yeah, I think that's very important to know that there is an opportunity, even free of cost, occasionally, to check whether you have a chip implanted without knowledge and without your consent, obviously. And it looks there are lots of people who have been implanted. Is that correct? Do you have any numbers which you could present to us? I mean.
Well, it is certainly a phenomena that is going on worldwide, and there seem to be really thousands of people that have been victimized with this. What we have found out is there seems to be a little bit higher percentage of females than males. But the really concerning part is what I've just said, is that it is really now the general population that is targeted, and that they even implant small children. I personally know of a case that is it's actually a current trial that is going on in California, where the whole family, father, mother, and the two young boys of 5 and 6 have been non-consensually implanted with this electronic devices. So it is really terrible, and it is really growing exponentially. So it is very, very concerning.
Well, maybe it's interesting to learn where or when these people were implanted. Is this by going to a dentist or going to any physician or whatever?
Indeed. This is something what we have to say in this respect, that it is actually very easy to implant a person, via an injection. All you need is a needle, basically. What we have, in the group that we have tested, realized that people had either undergone some surgery before, or, and I think that was very interesting, we had a few, I think, elderly ladies that were scanned, and they always came up positive in their upper arm, right or left upper arm. And when we asked them what did they have done there, did they have surgery, and they said no, the only thing that they had done was their flu vaccine. So
okay, that's what we discuss all the time. That this is very difficult and to know whether they have implanted you, but you should avoid any vaccination, right?
Yes, because that is very, very easy way to implant you.
Yeah, so everybody should be alarmed and should be aware, and maybe you should even prepare yourself legally by giving your doctor in writing that if he does implant you, that he and this is being recognized, that he is going to be sued or he's liable for damages, possibly. Is that a method which you discuss as well? Because I know Dr. Witte is a lawyer.
Yes, it's actually a very good idea. But the thing is that at the moment, this is exactly the work what we're doing to forensically prove non-consensual implantation. That is officially not recognized yet. And the danger of it is exactly because you were talking about, what did the people have? Did they have some surgery or so? The danger of this is that, what I was just saying, that it is very difficult to prove, because people generally do not have scars anymore, because, all you need is a needle and give them an injection. So very, very difficult to prove. But in my case, for example, I do have behind my ears, they're very well done. It's obviously a very, people knew what they were doing, that have implanted needles. It's a very fine surgery, scars. But I have showed it to about 7 doctors now, who all confirmed to me that this has definitely been done by a surgery. and I never had any surgery to my ears, consensual surgery at least. So in my case, I do have scars, and they have been confirmed by doctors. But the danger is that most people do not have them because, or many people do not have them because all you need is giving them an injection. So this is a very good idea that what you just suggested, I think.
Yes, and Melanie, this is a series. So if Henning is able to prepare something like that, which is, I mean, he's a lawyer, to supply this maybe for download on your web page in maybe possibly German and English. And Swedish, obviously. That would be fantastic, or maybe in French as well. I mean, because you may be able to give this in French as well.
Yeah, what I can say is it's really a global phenomenon. It's going on, in the whole world. And in the testing group, we had that people that we tested here in Belgium in the Faraday cage in the research facility. We had people from Sweden, we had people from Belgium, we had people from Spain, we had people from Denmark, we had people from the Netherlands, from the United States, from all over basically. So I think it's something we should discuss with Henning indeed. I would also like to point out that for those that still have difficulties believing us, that actually the European Union, I mean the European Parliament itself, on the 28th of January 1999, released a resolution on environment, security and foreign policy with the number of A40005/1999, and in that resolution, it calls in paragraphs 23, 24, and 27 for non-lethal weapons technology and development of new arms strategies to be covered and regulated by international conventions, because the problem is that these technologies are not at all regulated at this point. And it also demands an international convention including a global ban on all developments and deployments of weapons which might enable any form of manipulation of the human beings. So this was, as I said, a resolution issued on the 28th of January 1999, and the problem is that this is still at the state of a resolution, so which is basically a declaration of intent. So our work at UCATCH especially is very much that we would very much like to see this resolution be transferred into an EU directive, because our findings shows that there's it's absolutely urgent and important that we do have appropriate EU legislation created to protect citizens, including our children from these kinds of terrible human rights abuses. So
and this is so important because we have the impression, I mean, you may have the same impression that basically the legislators, the European Union is not a real state. So whether there is a real legislator has to be examined from this point of view. But let's call them legislators. They have sort of lost any ethics in terms of what is humanity and what is not. I mean, and we discussed this early on as under the topic of inhumane society. Mm-hmm. So it seems the society of today, and directed by politics and legislation, for instance, in the European area, this has nothing to do with humanity anymore. No. I mean, how everything is being sort of manipulated. I mean, the genetic manipulations of plants and so forth, with Monsanto as one of the flagships, sure. But not restricted to them. This is a complete messing up of nature and also messing up humanity.
Yes, it's really, you have the impression that anything goes, basically. And because you spoke about ethics, I would also like to point out that in the United States, in fact, the states of, I think, California, Michigan, and several others then followed, they actually introduced legislation against covert harassment. And Russia actually was the first country in the world to introduce such legislation. Consequently to this, the Obama administration has established a special bioethics commission to address these legislative matters. And we, with ISAACT, few of our members, I think 300 victims that were basically targeted by this non-consensual implantation and experimentation of remote influencing technologies, could testify first in front of this bioethics commission, and later then they received a letter saying that in fact in the past these crimes like MK Ultra had already been investigated, and that the bioethics commission was not going to hear any further testimonies on these subjects. And what is also very concerning is that these hearings took place, I think, in February, March 2011, and we are now mid-July 2013, and still no report has come out. So we are kind of wondering, getting very suspicious why this, there's no report has been produced on the findings of this bioethics commission.
Yeah, and so this is basically a confirmation that all efforts to address the issue to the politicians or responsible government people, also within the European Union, seems not to be effective, because there seems to be an agenda behind this, an agenda which is not being controlled by those. As we all know, they are sort of puppets on a string, mm-hmm. and somebody else is pulling the strings behind the curtains, and those seem to dictate the agenda. Now, what is your opinion? I know this is a difficult topic, and but what do you think? What is the agenda behind this? Why do they do that? I mean, what is the purpose of their behavior or their activities? What could be the reason?
Well, it is for me certainly the main goal is complete control, over humanity. Because some of our leaders said quite openly that there is too many people in their view, so-called leaders, on the planet. So, and I would also like to mention at this point that we recently actually just came out last week. I think I sent you the link, Detlev, that we had the UCATCH General Manager Magnus Olsson had been interviewed by Russia Today by a journalist who's called Daniel Estulin, who's also basically following very closely the Bilderberg group and their activities. And as he stated at the end of this program, and we're currently in the process of subtitling it because it was in Spanish. There should be the version with English subtitles to be out this weekend, I think, is that he stated and that is really true, that these are weapons. These are really weapons of mass destruction. So they are as dangerous, at least as dangerous, or probably even more dangerous because they're much more covered than the atomic bomb. So these technologies that are, and it's a joke actually that they're called non-lethal weapons or less lethal weapons, are totally lethal and really, weapons of mass destruction. So in my opinion, the primary goal is to achieve depopulation.
Yeah, I mean, we can also learn this from the behavior of those uniformed police people who are using the non-lethal tasers, against everybody, even against children or against older people or even disabled people and so forth. And then it's like an instrument of torture. And they also are killing people with this because they don't know or don't realize that this is a lethal weapon as well. So isn't this sort of a mind control operation also to introduce this technology, in a harmless, non-lethal way as well through tasers? What is your opinion on that?
Yes, I think the term non-lethal is totally nonsense. I mean, it's definitely lethal, and that has been shown. Actually, the tasers are, as you said, they're also classified under so-called non-lethal weapons, as are the weapons of directed energy, but they have been shown to be totally lethal. And the effects of these weapons can range from anything to dizziness, nausea, loss of bolts, confusion, to organ failure and death. So to tell us that the non-lethal weapons is absolute nonsense in my opinion. And what we have also, because ISAACT in 2012 had the opportunity to interview one of the leading microwave weapon experts. He has been working, I think, for over 40 years for the British government, Dr. Barry Trower, in microwave weapons testing. What he was saying, he had also been called to investigate a system that is it's actually a police emergency call system, or also used by ambulances, I think also, but definitely with the police. That is called TETRA, the TETRA system. And what he said in an interview is actually that they had their findings were that in any police station where this TETRA system was used, the level of violence or the readiness of the police officers to use violence or such, including such taser weapons, dramatically increased. They were all getting more aggressive. So that is, I think, and we can. I think it's a general trend that we observe that the readiness of using violence within law enforcement has increased dramatically. So that is very, very concerning, of course, and it seems to be used to the linked to the use of these so-called non-lethal weapons, where the directed energy weapons also fall under.
Yeah, I think this is very alarming, because I've seen lots of videos now showing police people in the United States and tasering different people, which are really doing nothing. And one of the ladies actually got tasered so incredibly that she suffered a stroke. Afterwards, and she was only, by coincidence, she came back to life because they tried to get her back. But how can you do this? First of all, it's the weapon, okay, which is very dangerous, but it's also the people who make use of this weapon. I mean, don't they see that this is inhumane what they are doing, that this is lethal? In the end, what they're doing? Or do you think those uniformed police people are completely controlled, so they cannot act like a human? Is that what you think?
Well, I think that it's clear that the level of violence, or the readiness to use violence has clearly gone up. And as Henning said in the last program, is that he realized that actually also the level of mind control within the authorities has risen exponentially, in his opinion. Even the judges and lawyers are all under mind control. I think then it's quite safe to say that probably law enforcement or law enforcement agents are as well certainly act as if they were, that they certainly act in an inhumane way. And I can only say that was it's not very long ago. In my area actually, which is I live in the because I used to work for the EU institutions. I live in the EU quarter in Brussels, called where all the buildings are, the Commission buildings, and also the European Parliament is not far. So quite what is considered actually quite a nice area, so and peaceful residential area, so to speak. And there was quite a scandal here recently because a person was, well, maybe he had drunk a little bit, I don't know, but there was some argument or what with his girlfriend, but he was certainly not violent or so, and I don't know who called the police on him. So very quickly they came with, to get one guy, I don't know, with 20 police officers or so. And so he had drunk a little bit, but he was not violent. I mean, he was not aggressing anybody. He was just talking loud. And so they handcuffed him and put him on the floor. He was sitting on the floor. And he was still, he was basically giving them the back talking a little bit to them, but certainly not violent. And there were about 24 police officers, and why this was a big scandal in Brussels is that he was very lucky, so to speak, because one of the neighbors, it was in the night, he filmed everything. So he basically talked back to the police officers, and they suddenly got very violent. That means they basically attacked the man and beat him up, although he was handcuffed. And and he was shouting and screaming because of the pain, and they were totally getting violent and beating him up. And he was handcuffed, so he couldn't defend himself. And even the girlfriend tried to intervene, but she was also pushed back. And this neighbor filmed everything with his video camera from his window, and put it on YouTube. He was also, I think, active in Amnesty International. And following this, then the police had no other choice than to launch an investigation against these violent police officers. But he was kind of lucky because his neighbor filmed everything. But you wonder how many of these things actually happen without anybody filming, And what I think is very telling is that ISAC's president, actually, Jesse Beltran, has always, what happened, how he was victimized is that he was, working as a firefighter, and got called to an incident where apparently there was a father that was accused to have, I think, broken the custody agreement and took his daughter. On a day he should have taken her or something like that, which was basically found out it was not true. So he was in his right. And when they came to the place, the gentleman was beaten to death by the police. And Jesse witnessed this and later filed a report. And a few years later, when he went to the dentist, he got put unresponsive and was implanted. So it was probably because he was witness to this murder and also a whistleblower that he was implanted then by the dentist when he went to the dentist as a kind of reprisal on him, measure.
Yeah, wow, this is terrible. I mean, yeah, I can confirm this. I mean, we have those incidents 1,000 times a day. This happens also in the Federal Republic of Germany. And they are, the so-called government in the Federal Republic of Germany are members of the UN Council of Human Rights in Geneva. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So this is, this is incredible, and we have to speak out. And this is, we had a TV crew filming for Wake News TV last week, Wednesday. I was present there, and we were filming like they entered and the so-called police entered an apartment without a legal right, and they actually came with 20 uniformed people, and they dragged two people out. A woman they always almost violated incredibly. Throwing her down to and another guy with 5 people. They were trying to harass him and torture him and put him in jail for nothing, just because he didn't have his papers on him. Can you imagine? I mean, this is a police state, environment, and the European Union, and as we all know, is not a democratic entity. It is a fascist entity, because the European Parliament actually has nothing to say. The European government, if you want to call it like this, they are basically not elected. They are, they're just put in place, by the so-called governments of the European Union. And they act like dictators. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's certainly very concerning. But I always want to look on the positive side of things, and I agree with you that there's probably not very much positive. Especially on these subjects. I cannot see what possibly would be worse than a government could do to you than to implant you non-consensually with this torture technologies, and it's totally basically transforming you into a robot. That I think it's really a crime against humanity. I think it's one of the worst crimes. So there's not a lot of positive here. I agree, but what I can say is that we as a group, before UCatch was really legally established, because that's what we've just done in Stockholm now in June, but we were already working together as a group before. We had one meeting already in the European Parliament with a member of the European Parliament on these issues. So we presented him with the evidence that we had collected on that EU citizens were non-consensually implanted with these technologies. And what I can say is that I certainly hope that these people are somehow still also human and have human reactions, because I could see that especially when we told him about this 5-year-old child being implanted, and showed him actually implants that had been surgically removed already from some victims. He then recommended that we should very quickly organize a presentation, and that's what we're just establishing now, in front of the committee, the parliamentary committee with that is called Civil Liberties, Justice and Home Affairs. That is the committee that deals with this kind of issues. So although I think it is very difficult and very alarming, certainly this whole what seems to be a global enslavement program and depopulation program. I think I want to hope or think that that even these people still have some humanity left, and when they realize that it actually could happen to anyone, even their children or grandchildren, when they go next time to the doctor, they could suddenly be part of some scientific experiment that they're not even told about. I hope that we can somehow wake people up, wake our politicians up, and somehow achieve a change. Although I think it will be, because at the end of the day, we are all human. Also, these people are, and I think not all of them are, on the dark side, so to speak. And at least in the meeting we had, we definitely had a sign that he was touched by this. And at the end of the day, also they have children and grandchildren, and I don't think anybody would like their child or their grandchild to be transferred in a biological robot.
I agree. Yeah, and some people will realize that whatever is happening, I mean, the way it is happening is going to ruin everybody's life, because chemtrailing, poisoning food and water, injeculations with vaccinations and so forth, or electronic terrorism, as you reported. Yeah. Those are all things which are in combination with the economic and financial collapse, which is also most probably something which is planned on us, will lead to unrest. I mean, people will finally realize that they are being cornered. And what do you think? Is there any possibility that people will be very mad about when they find out what people are doing to them? What's your opinion on that?
I certainly think so. I mean, personally, I think the interview that we just had with Russia Today will, because most of the problem is that these crimes, horrendous crimes against humanity, they're kept very secret, of course, by the ones that are doing this, and that's for good reason. So most of the public is, I would say, rather ignorant still that this is going on. But I believe once people will see this and realize that this is really going on and a horrible threat to their children, to their family, there will be. I think when it's going to come out, especially this interview, I thought personally it was very good, full of facts that you cannot deny. It's going to create, I think, a big reaction. And because you were just mentioning chemtrails, I think it's very interesting. I have personally been contacted this week, especially, by many Morgellons victims. Morgellons is basically a technology that is called smart dust, that once it comes into your body, it self-assembles and auto-replicates in your body. There is a whistleblower, a toxicologist called Dr. Hildegard Senninger, who's done extensive research on this technology. And I have personally been contacted this week by many victims, especially of the Morgellons, the smart dust technology. And one of these victims, and I have to post this here, Detlev, in the chat, because I think it will interest you, because you were talking about chemtrails. One of these victims in France, and also a lady here in Belgium, both Morgellons victims, had actually helped. They had in their back garden and on the street, and had actually seen chemtrails, chem webs falling from the sky, and had helped collecting them. And they sent them to an independent laboratory in the south of France and asked the researchers there to analyze this. And this is very important because this press release has just come out. I posted here by ASCPK, which is the Association Citoyenne pour le Suivi, l'Étude et l'Information pour les Programmes d'Intervention Climatique et Atmosphérique. Basically, they are sky watchers and investigating the phenomena of geoengineering, also called chemtrails. And they found these citizens picked these chemtrails up and had them analyzed. And it says here, atmospheric airborne filaments collected on the ground from several places in France during the year 2012 by simple citizens have been submitted to Analytica, Independent Center for Investigation and Appraisal in Organic Chemistry, located in Gurs, Var in France. The analytical report recently published by Analytica gives the scientific evidences of the anthropologic origin of these filaments, which means they have been created, in labs by humans, basically. So, among many organic components detected, several molecules are known to be present in fuels and lubricants of aviation reactors, including several endocrine disrupting phthalates, which means that these particles and these chemtrails were basically mixed with fuels from airplanes. So,
wow.
Yeah. And I think it's also interesting that this comment here, then when they published the findings, so the scientific community and relevant authorities now alerted must quickly improve their knowledge of the origin and consequences on health and on climate of this new form of atmospheric pollution and publish their findings, since the obligation to suffer gives us the right to know. Jean Rostand. And I think it's very true. The obligation to suffer gives us the right to know, the right that is going on. And this could not have happened. These findings could not have come out if not simple citizens like you and me saw these chemtrails falling from the sky, or lying on the ground, and collected them and financed this analysis. And they clearly show that that they're contaminated with fuel, from airplanes.
Yeah, I can confirm this. I've seen a video, and I talked about this on my last German-speaking show on Thursday. That they have put some samples of Morgellons-like particles which came out of the skin of a woman under an electronic microscope, that they found out that there are small metallic particles which even had a logo on them. And the company which was identified is called Underwriter Laboratories Inc. And this is a corporation from the United States, but operating globally in supporting governments and military-industrial complex companies in testifying on material and proving, the substance of material, and they then give their stamps on the material. So that those were nanoparticles. So something weird is going on here. So at least you get some hints on who is actually involved in those operations. And what you just said is a confirmation of what we always thought is going on. Yeah. That in the fuel of planes, whatever organization this may be or company this may be, they have integrated this vicious geoengineering. Is that your opinion as well?
Yes, that is what is the proof that could be brought, as a result of this analysis. So I think that is very, very concerning, and they definitely. Confirmed that this material was, found together with, fuels that come out of airplanes. So this is now the proof that these pathogens are really sprayed on us.
Yeah, because this is being discussed really, because everybody is looking at the chemtrails, which are basically showing up in the skies. But there may be spraying going on as well without knowing. I mean, maybe it's not as visible even as the regular chemtrails, as we can call them, but it's just the exhaust, within the exhaust of the planes, which is even more vicious, isn't it? I mean, we always wondered, and then we had a quick discussion about this on the cheap flying corporations, cheap flyers. How could they ever finance their cheap airfares? I mean, how can you sustain a price like this?
Yeah.
You have to cover your costs somehow, and this is open knowledge that they might have contracts with with those people who want them to chemtrail or geoengineer without public knowledge.
Yeah, I agree. So the military definitely. There's no question about it, but I think I agree with you. It's a simple mathematical, analysis. How can they, offer all these cheap flights? I mean, as you say, they must be covering their costs somehow, and I think it's very clear for me, at least. I don't see other possibilities how they could offer that cheap airfares, if they had not, did not benefit from these kind of contracts.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I mean, if you have to travel nowadays, and for great distances, I mean, you're basically dependent on flying. Well, for my own decision, I have decided not to fly anymore, no matter what, because I used to fly a lot while I was having my business at the time being. But nowadays I can afford not to fly anymore because it's not important for me. But many people who are dependent on flying, obviously this is a problem. But nevertheless, if you are flying, you should basically ask your carrier questions. You should ask them how they could finance the cheap price, and are they having any contracts with suppliers of fuel which are mixing with geoengineering particles or what have you. I mean, we just have to stand up. We just have to tell them that we know and that we want answers and that we don't want them to continue such a practice. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think we should never stop to ask questions, and be critical and analyze things. So.
Yeah, I mean, we are in the midst of a UNITEDWESTRIKE radio marathon today on July 13th, and I have Melanie Vritschan here with us from ICAACT and UCASH. We're discussing issues like that, and we have this slogan, don't buy, don't comply, ask why, and this ask why is just what I mentioned. So it's something everybody can do something about it, and we just have to stand up, everybody. Not violently. I mean, not with force, but with our ability to act. And the action is not supporting the system and not complying with everything they tell you to do, and also to ask them whatever they are doing, and to find out what wrongdoing might be behind this, right? I admire your work, Melanie. I mean, with ICAACT and UCASH, I mean, you're doing a great work. And just what you said is that many people are turning to you, also with more Gallen's questions and so forth. It's very encouraging. So maybe as we are entering now the last segment here of our show, with this part, before we go into the European roundtable discussion, maybe you can tell our listeners again how to contact you and the website and so forth.
Yes, so if you are a victim and you think that, or you think you could be victimized by these technologies, and you would like to, to do a free radio frequency scan on you, you can go on the ICAACT website, so ICAACT.org. There is a contact form for Europe and for the United States, and fill that in and contact us if you want to benefit from a free radio frequency scan. And if you want to know more about UCASH and support us with our lobbying efforts, with the European Union, especially with the European Parliament, and just be part of the community. It's eucatch.org, so eucach.org. And there is also, if you click on contact, there's also a contact email where you can write to us. And I would also, encourage people that are victims of this technology or that want to support us to register, that experience this kind of, electronic terrorism, that can register with us as a member.
Yeah, wonderful, and they also can support you obviously with some donations. I mean, as United We Strike initiative, we are not asking for any donations, so we are internationally working for free if you want to. But the individual partners within the United We Strike initiative do have their own projects, as ICACT or UCACH or also Wake News, or whoever is participating, and we need support, and so your organizations do need also financial support, right? Is that correct?
Yes, we are certainly grateful for anybody who wants to support us. Can be registered with UCACH as a UCACH friend that wants us to support us, and there is a small fee linked to this annual fee. I think it's 500 Swedish crowns. I think it's about 50 euros a year. So we would be very grateful for any help and support.
Yes, and then we have to support everything which is helping us to get our liberties back and get freedom back. And make a human life livable. I mean, we are all humans, and what we don't want inhumane conditions. So we have to fight for our rights, we have to fight for our life, and fight for our future, because our children, our families are now also facing this tyranny which is coming upon us. So we have to all work together and support each other wherever we can. Yeah, Melanie, this is great that you had the opportunity to be with us today and join in the United We Strike Radio Marathon. I think this is very important to learn about your activities, and hopefully we will have you back another time. Now, if you want to say a few last words to our audience, you're welcome to.
Yes, first of all, I would like to say to you that thank you very much for having invited me again to your show. I very much appreciate that, to give me and us the opportunity to inform people. As a last word, I would say maybe the motto of UCACH is help us save our children from electronic slavery. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's a good one. Thank you very much. This is very important. Thanks, Melanie, for being with us. We are in the United We Strike Radio Marathon. Today is July 13th, 2013. We still are in the European corner, if you want to. Well, it's not a corner. It's a real huge area. And Melanie came from Brussels, from Belgium, reporting about her activities and the activities of her organizations. And I'm Detlev of Wake News Radio, here producing out of Switzerland. I usually have my German-speaking shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 4 and 6 p.m. Central European Time. So if anybody listens who wants to get some news in the German language, you're welcome to listen, or to listen to archives, which are playing all the time, 24 hours a day. Okay. But also visit our main website, UNITEDWESTRIKE.com, which also has a timetable and program of today's show. So if you're interested in, today's show's program, have a look. It's on the page chat and scroll down a little bit and you'll find the program. Okay, so we'll go into a quick break here, and we will, during this break, get in our next guests and for our European Roundtable discussion. So stay tuned. We will be hearing here Rocking Harry from Germany, from Munich, in an acoustic version called Seven Dragons. Okay, so stay tuned. We will be right back. This is Detlev of Wake News Radio in our UNITEDWESTRIKE Radio Marathon.
You're listening to UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio. Don't buy, don't comply. Ask why. UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio.
Weeknews.net. Wake News. Wake News.
Moses land.